Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome into this week's edition of my top waiver wire ads and streamable defenses for week 8 of this NFL season. As always, guys, you're going to get my top waiver wire targets for the quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, and I'm going to give you a flex ad of the week, and of course, my top 5 streaming defenses. As always, I'm going to start today with the waiver wire section and start at the most important position in football, which is quarterback. So my top quarterback ad of the week, I'm gonna go with Kyler Murray. Obviously, we don't know what he's gonna look like in this offense, but Kyler Murray is available in 57% of the leagues right now. If you're like me and you took advantage of the reports that came out last week when he returned to practice, I have some leagues where I'm just kind of got a steady Eddie quarterback, or they're kind of inconsistent, or maybe his ceiling's not as high. If you're dealing with that situation, I think you should try to go get Kyler Murray if he's still available on the waivers. He should be back. Well, he'll be back on the active roster at least in the next 2 weeks. He's in the practice window. They have 21 days to activate him. Jay Glazer reported on Sunday on the Fox pregame show that he was taking reps with the starters last week, which to me indicates they're ramping him up to get him back in the lineup. And you can't forget, did Kyler look that great last year right before he tore his ACL? Not really, but he's still, as far as fantasy, he's been a top 5, top 10 fantasy quarterback. And if you can get that type of value out of the quarterback positions, especially when we've been dealing with injuries and inconsistent play out of some quarterbacks this season, I think you got to go get it. And what's great too, if you go get Kyler right now, is he's on the technically listed on the IR, right? Because he's not on the active list. So if you do play in leagues where you have IR spots, if you don't have a player that's currently in your IR spot, you can pick up Kyler like I did and slide him right into that IR spot, so then you can fill out your bench for other positions that you need. Now, I don't think he's going to play because Glazer said expect him to play like in 2 weeks. But let's just say he does play this week. I would kind of wait on this week if he does play. They are facing the Ravens. The Ravens have allowed 9.5 points per game against quarterbacks. That's the fewest across the NFL. And I'm not the biggest fan of playing a player in his first game if he has had a lengthy absence because of injury. But regardless, like I said, if you need help at the quarterback spot to maybe make that strong playoff push or make that playoff run, I think Kyler Murray could be the answer for you if you've been struggling at the quarterback position this season. My running back out of the week, I am going to go with Darrell Henderson Jr. He's available in 75% of the leagues. It's kind of wild that he wasn't even on the team. He gets signed and he gets the start for the Rams offense this past week. But obviously he has a familiarity with Sean McVay. That he gets the trust from his coach because of his pass blocking ability. And this past weekend, thrusted right into action. He had 18 rushes for 61 yards and a touchdown, and he had 1 reception for 5 yards on 2 targets. Now, his values for you is only going to be until Kyren Williams gets back. Kyren Williams was placed on IR, so he's out for at least the next 3 games. So you're looking at least a few weeks of a value for Henderson. Now, he doesn't have the greatest matchup this week. They are going against the Cowboys. Cowboys only giving up 12.9 points per game. 2 running backs this year. That's the 7th fewest allowed. But if anytime you can pick up a starting running back off the waivers at this point of the season, you got to go try to do it, especially if you need some running back depth on your roster. My wide receiver ad of the week, it's going to be a repeat from last week. The Colts wide receiver, the rookie wide receiver, Josh Downs. He's still available over 50% of the leagues. He's actually available in 64% of the leagues right now. This past weekend, I thought he was a sit, and he blew my expectations out of the water going against one of the best defenses in the NFL. He had 5 receptions for 125 yards and a touchdown on 6 targets. Now he actually has received at least 6+ targets in 5 of the 7 games he's played in. Now, kind of a tough defense they're playing against. They're going against, as far as fantasy, going against the Saints. The Saints are allowing 19.9 points per game to wide receivers this year. That is the 12th fewest allowed. But with his success that he just had against the Browns defense, I think he could be a quality play for you if you do need a wide receiver in your starting lineup. But at worst, he should be getting picked up right now for depth reasons, especially because every team's back this week. There are no bye weeks, but these bye weeks will come back starting next week until I think week 12. So yeah, you would want to start planning ahead if you got wide receivers that have not had their bye yet. My tight end out of the week, I'm going to go with that rookie tight end in Buffalo. He definitely has not lived up to the hype, not lived up to the expectations, but I think there's an opportunity for him to do that now. He's available in 58% of the leagues, and this past weekend, Dalton Kincaid had 8 receptions for 75 yards on 8 targets. Anybody that's been following me for a long time on these videos know anytime I see a tight end get over 7 targets, that immediately pops in my eyes. And what should actually be able to continue to see him get the funneled volume of targets and more routes run with Josh Allen is, unfortunately for Dawson Knox, he's having wrist surgery. I didn't see that. I think the last update I saw anyways, that they currently don't have a timetable on when Knox is going to be able to return to the team. So until Knox is back in that lineup, I totally expect Kincaid's volume of targets to be more consistent than what it has been. And they need somebody outside of Stephon Diggs to step up in this passing attack. And maybe that can be Kincaid. That's why they did draft him in the first round. Doesn't have the best matchup in terms of fantasy this week. Thursday night, they are facing the Bucks, who are only given a 4.5 points per game to the tight end position, which is the 4th fewest. But I think because of his talent, because of Knox not being in the lineup, I think he's worthy of a roll of the dice, because I think he's going to get those 7 to 9 targets every game with Knox being out of the lineup. My flex out of the week, I'm going to go with Amari D'Mercado, the running back in Arizona. He's available in 86% of the leagues. This past weekend against the Seahawks, he had 13 rushes for 58 yards. He had 4 receptions for 17 yards on 5 targets. So that's 18 times he had an opportunity to touch the ball, which anytime you can get a running back that's touching the ball over 15 times, that's just great. I view him more as a low flex end play at this point, more of a bench ad for the upcoming bye weeks. Now, over the last 3 games, he's touched the ball 10 plus times in 2 of those 3 games. And then James Conner is still on IR. I think Conner has 2 more weeks until he can return. But another thing I'm factoring in, which kind of makes D'Mercado, he's only got probably value until Conner returns, right? But there has been rumblings, there has been rumors that James Conner could be potentially traded to a team that is looking for help at the running back position. So the deadline is next Tuesday. So if Conner does get traded between now and next week, all of a sudden D'Mercado could potentially give you value throughout the rest of the season. This week, he's got a decent matchup against the Ravens defense, who is giving up 15.4 points per game to running backs. That is the 15th most allowed, sitting there right in the middle of the league. But again, if you need running back depth ad, I think that's where he is right now. He's a bench ad as a low end flex play if you got running backs on a bye week. And like I said, I think his value can increase if the Cardinals do end up trading Conner between now and next Tuesday. So yeah, that is my top waiver wire ads for week 8. Moving into my top streamable defenses, and just like those players I talked about, these defenses have to have at least 50% roster availability on Yahoo, so there is a good chance that these defenses are out there on the market for you. My number 1 streaming defense this week, I am going to go with the Falcons against the Titans. The Falcons are available in 87% of the leagues right now. Going against that Titans team that looked really bad over the last couple of weeks before their bye week. And then as of right now, it doesn't look like Ryan Tannehill isn't going to play this week. He suffered that ankle injury. Actually, right before I hopped on here to record this, I saw a tweet where Mike Vrabel told the media that he expects Malik Willis and Will Levis to play if Tannehill can't play this week. And I don't know. I'm trying to figure out if that's gamemanship, if he's just not trying to give any help to the Falcons defense to prepare. But anytime the old adage is if you have multiple quarterbacks, then you have no quarterback, right? And both those quarterbacks, Malik Willis, since he's entered the NFL, he holds the ball too long. And that's what I didn't like on Will Levis's college tape. He tends to hold the ball too long. And then this is a Titans team that has allowed the 4th most sacks in the NFL this season. So you're talking about young quarterbacks with a poor offensive line. I see some sack potential and some turnover potential on this, where you get a ceiling performance out of this Falcons defense. My number 2 streaming defense, I'm going to go with the Dolphins against the Patriots. Right now, the Dolphins are just right over the edge of the marker for me to even talk about them, but they're available in 51% of the league, so if they're out there, I definitely would consider getting them against this Patriots team. Yeah, the Patriots, they kind of bounced back somewhat against that Bills team last week, but this game is in Miami. New England, for whatever reason, dating back to Tom Brady's era, they struggled down in Miami, so I'm factoring that in. And then when you look at the turnovers, New England is tied for the 4th most turnovers. So far this season, they have a habit of turning over the ball. I expect the Dolphins defense we saw them get that pick 6 last week, but I expect them to be healthier this week. Hopefully Xavier Howard will be back in the lineup. I don't think this is going to be the week that Ramsey can return. I know he's been practicing. We'll have to see about that. But yeah, I'm not going to buy into one game out of the Patriots and be like, oh, I don't want to stream defenses against them. I think you could be able to stream against them, especially because of the history of New England's struggles down there in Miami. My number 3 streaming defense of the week, I'm gonna go with the Chargers against the Bears. The Chargers are available in 93% of the leagues right now. There's a few reasons why I like them this week. Going against Tyson Bagent, yeah, he did look solid, but it wasn't like he lit the world on fire. That Raiders defense definitely let down. Trust me, I know I talked about them as a streaming option last week, and I had them in a league or two. But I think the Chargers. I think this because if Brandon Staley loses this game, he's probably going to lose his job very soon, right? So I feel like he understands that, and this defense is going to look a lot better than it has so far this season. When you look at what the Bears have allowed, they've allowed the 3rd most sacks in the NFL. And they also are tied for the 5th most turnovers. So they've been a quality team to stream defenses against. And then you got a little revenge game factor in here. Khalil Mack, he was a former Bear, so he's going to want to show out against the team that traded him, a year or so ago. So yeah, I can see Khalil Mack having a huge game, Joey Bosa having a good game. And for whatever reason, hit my head, I can see Derwin James getting a pick 6. I'm going to go ahead and call that right now. But yeah, I do like the Chargers as a sneaky streaming defense this week. My number 4 streaming defense, I'm going with the Colts against the Saints. The Colts are available in 93% of the leagues. I view this more as a high floor streaming play out of the Colts defense, because that Saints offense has really struggled to put up points on the board this season. I think that last game, they finally got over the 20-point mark for the first time in 2023. And then when you look at what they're tied for the 5th most sacks allowed. We'll have to see the health of their offensive line by the end of the week with their practice reports, but last week they had 2nd, 3rd string guys out there playing at the tackle position. Samson Ebukam and Kwity Paye and Dangbo. Colts got some guys that can get after Derek Carr with the pass rush, so I could see those sacks continuing for this Colts defense, and they've been opportunistic this season getting those turnovers, so I could see them giving you a high floor and a potentially ceiling play if Derek Carr and them aren't unable to deliver on Sunday. My number 5 streaming defense, just because a lot of defenses have found success against this team. They haven't won a game, right? I'm going to go with the Texans against the Panthers. The Texans are available in 96% of the leagues right now, strictly because the struggles of Carolina's offense. They did definitely look better in that game against Miami right before their bye week. We'll have to see how they look going forward throughout the season, but until they've proven otherwise that they're going to put up points on the board and be a offense you'll think twice about streaming your defense against, I'm definitely going to be willing to roll the dice, especially because DeMeco Ryans has had that Texans defense play better than the talent that they have on it, in my opinion. So yeah, I think they're another sneaky play, especially in those 12-14 team leagues if you've been streaming defenses like I have in those leagues. So if you miss out on those top 4 defenses, I would definitely consider the Texans this week. So yeah, that is my top streaming defenses for Week 8. As always, guys, if there's any players on the waivers, or if there's any defenses I did not speak about today, you'd like to hear how I would view them going into the week, you can always get in the comment section. Always get in my DMs, and I do my best to try to get back to you guys as soon as possible. I am a busy guy, so sometimes I'm not able to get back to you right away. As always, hit the like button, hit the subscribe, follow button, depending on whatever social media platform you're on. fun. As you can see with this little video, I have I'm on most platforms. I'm gonna get off here. You guys will see me tomorrow night when I give out my top starts and sits for week 8. Hope you guys have a great night or morning whenever you're watching this. Peace out.